Speaker, I rise to ask question 110 of 2017 under my name on today's order paper. Question is directed to our Minister for Agriculture, Rural and Maritime Development and National Disaster Management. The question is, can the Minister enlighten us as to the types of assistance given to all farmers in the rural and maritime areas as of today? Thank you.
Thank you. Honourable Minister for Agriculture, Rural Maritime Development, National Disaster Management.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank the Honourable Member for the question. Basically, I'll just provide two very brief answers and then I can be available to take any further supplementary questions. But the first major component in which our communities in the rural and maritime areas are assisted through the agriculture programs are what we call the DDA, or the demand-driven approach programs. There are 5 major capital programs under the demand-driven approach, Madam Speaker. One is called ROI, the Rural and Outer Island Program. One is on food security program. The other is the Export Promotion Program and the Dairy Industry Support and the Singatoka Valley Development Program. Madam Speaker, there are reasons behind these capital programs. Rural and Outer Island, basically, it's about the people in the rural and outer island areas, and it is holistic. I've talked about production and the whole value chain, market access, and so forth, Madam Speaker. We have the food security program. I have mentioned in this House, Madam Speaker, that last year the Honourable Prime Minister accepted on behalf of Fiji our achievements in as far as the Millennium Development Goal is concerned, where we are providing sufficient food security for our people. But as highlighted by the Minister for Employment and the Minister for Health, perhaps the bigger challenge now for Fiji is not food security, but nutrition security, because that links to NCD, Madam Speaker. And of course, this is where we can focus, and we are working with the Ministry for Health on the Zero Hunger Program, which focuses not only on food security, but on nutrition security as well, so that we can have an impact on NCDs. Export Promotion Program, Madam Speaker, as much as possible, we want to increase our export levels. There are some challenges, but we're working on it, particularly with the introduction of mechanization and cold storages. We should be able to improve our export levels in as far as the commodities that we have. And for that, you would note that the cover manual for Yangona has been passed. And likewise, I've talked about Kanabinaka. Hopefully, most of our local products will not only be for us here, but we look forward to the day where Ota and other commodities will end up in Auckland and Sydney and Melbourne, because even now, half-cooked belly, frozen and then vacuum packed, is going into these markets, and Duruka and so many other things. This is the Export Promotion Program, Madam Speaker. Singatoka Valley is one of the most productive areas in Fiji, and it's been there for quite a while. Unfortunately, we've lost some of the areas, particularly near the banks. But we're still working on the Singatoka Valley, and hopefully we will continue to produce better quality products out of the Singatoka Valley. And of course, the dairy industry support. We did talk about dairy in the last Parliament session. Government has the will and commitment to assist our dairy farmers, and of course we are working on our eradication campaign for brucellosis and tuberculosis as well, Madam Speaker. And on the 3rd or 4th of May, there will be a forum jointly organized by the SPC and the Ministry for Agriculture, where we'll bring in all the stakeholders, not only in dairy but the cattle, livestock sector as well, so that we can look at the way forward. Additionally, Madam Speaker, there are also commodity-related programs because as we see the demand in the market, we are asking for more allocations out of the DDA, and we have now allocations for Ndalo development, rice development, coconut development, Yangona development, and others. Additional to that, Madam Speaker, we also have other programs. One is the Singapore Development Program. Just like Singapore Valley, we also have very good fertile land in Ra area, and this is the Singapore Valley. And government started developing this area from 2008, I believe, and now Ra is very much into production. And this is also targeted towards our poverty alleviation program. As we know that in the household income and expenditure survey report that some of the districts within Ra province, they are high in terms of poverty level, and therefore this is targeted towards that program, and thus the development, Singapore Development Program. We have rice revitalization, cocoa development, coconut development as well. This includes the component on T.C. Winston rehabilitation. I've talked about Yangona, and of course Ndalo development as well, including the rehabilitation. Cottage development programs, this is mainly for women, cottage industries. This is mainly specifically for our women, and our women have the opportunity to plant more woiwoi, pandanus, and go into coconut virgin oil and other cottage industries. We have the vanilla program, we have the Nandari Batu development program as well. We've got the flatland development program. This is particularly targeted at the low-lying areas in the Central Division, and Rewa and the Teleu South area is where the most of the concentration of this program is currently undertaken. And of course, we do not forget Rotuma. Rotuma has got a special allocation, and my assistant minister will be going to Rotuma next Monday to go and visit the farmers in Rotuma, because we also have a Rotuma Tuvalu trade arrangement, and hopefully things will pick up. And we also have a land preparation facility for farmers particularly. These are some of the new incentives, particularly farm mechanization, the land preparation facility, so that we can bond most of the farmers, the costs that farmers used to shoulder previously. Most farmers want to go into the high level of production, but unfortunately, smallholder characteristics, they don't have capital. And this is where government comes in to subsidize the costs for them so that they can produce more, and most importantly contribute towards the development within their localities as well. Farm mechanization, most farmers now are getting access to machinery, and I wish to congratulate and thank the farmers who are coming forward. We have been issuing tractors now to farmers who can afford their contribution. And of course the fertilizer subsidy as well. These are the range of programs available to all farmers throughout Fiji, whether it be in the mainlands or in the maritime. And of course forms are available in the agriculture stations for them to fill, so that we can know their requests, and then the system follows through in order for them to be assisted. That basically are the programs available in rural and maritime areas, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Prem Singh.
Because a supplementary question, given the types of assistance to rural and remote farmers, could the minister inform this House what sort of monitoring or performance monitoring or evaluation process are in place so that these assistance are fully utilized?
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Ministry has recently established a monitoring unit within Economic Planning Division. This is apart from the monitoring that is done by the implementing divisions. Say, for example, in agriculture, we have animal health, we have land and water resource management, we have crops and crops extension. So they all monitor their own programs, but from the ministry, we have a monitoring unit. But Madam Speaker, I've talked about the modernization, and this is a beauty about technology. In the last 2 years, our focus was on agriculture and rural statistics, a program that we undertook with FAO. Now, Madam Speaker, almost all the active farmers in Fiji, they are registered in our database. I've talked about Naitasiri. Very encouraging, the results that we had from Naitasiri. I was briefed last week by our team that even now, most of the farmers that were left out or were not registered in the initial registration, they are now coming forward. Because with a click of a button, all the details of the farmer is there. Moses Bultau, this is his land, this is what's, and the assistances that he has been provided. So we want to, because this is about taxpayers' money, Madam Speaker, and we want to monitor very closely the performance of each farmer as well. So this is the beauty about the new program that we have in this agriculture. And I keep encouraging farmers to please get registered, either the Fiji Crop and Livestock Council or through the Ministry of Agriculture Statistics Unit. Because previously when we did the first round of surveys, most farmers did not want to be interviewed. Maybe they feared taxation or whatever. But now we are encouraging all our farmers to get interviewed. So that is how we monitor their performance, but we also have a monitoring unit at the ministry.
Thank you. Honourable Leader of Opposition. Supplementary question, Madam Speaker. Supplementary question. The Honourable Minister mentioned earlier about a new cookbook that's being launched. And I was wondering, because in that cookbook, there would be highlighted organic food and other fine foods, and I didn't hear him mentioning anything about organic farming in the types of assistance that is provided by his ministry. My question to him is, what type of assistance is being given for organic food production, particularly for farming and for export focus? Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to thank the Honourable Leader for the opposition, because this will be a big one for Fiji in the future. For us to be competitive, we just need to be smarter, and of course, organic products is a niche end which will give us a lot of opportunities in the future. Madam Speaker, we have realized this. What we have done, we have now a committee chaired by the Permanent Secretary for Trade. We have convened the first meeting last year between the Ministry for Health, the Ministry for Trade and Tourism, and of course the Ministry for Agriculture, where we discussed about organic products for Fiji, wide trade, because in any business, Madam Speaker, the first thing that you ask is, what can I sell? And that is why we have given the responsibility to the PS Trade under his minister, if they can start making arrangements now with organic products. The big challenge that we have now is the certification process. It's quite an expensive exercise for us to penetrate into the American market and the New Zealand market and the Australian market, but we know the standards that they require. So we are now, with the assistance of POETCOM, the agency that's responsible under SPC, we are getting that relevant assistance. But in the meantime, we are, our farmers are already into organic farming. Some of them, particularly those that already have a market. Johnny Smith, Madam Speaker, if you drive past Pacifica Ranadi Plantation before uprising, she's the biggest player, I would say now, on organic, apart from David Gilmore, who is in Wakaya. David Gilmore does organic products, but Jody Smith perhaps is our technical person and farmer who is helping us with this. And hopefully this will be our focus, the registration, certification, Madam Speaker, so that we can get most of our organic products, not only into our local outlets, but hopefully this is a big one for Fiji in the future because of the pristine environment that we have. So we are developing that, Madam Speaker, and of course we look forward to assistance from all our stakeholders, particularly SPC and the Ministry for Trade.
Thank you. Honourable Namatul.
Tawaki was the chairman of a parliamentary committee that looked into the annual reports, and they recommended statistics on production for each commodity. Can the Honourable Minister please, maybe not now, submit to us statistics on the production for the rural areas for each commodity for the last 10 years, and maybe the rural and outside of rural too, so that we'll know whether production is going up or going down.
Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, we have annual reports, and this is one of the reasons I have to admit, Madam Speaker, that we went into this exercise about agriculture and rural statistics. How reliable is the data that we have? That's questionable because of the reporting systems that we've had. One of the difficulties that we had when we were developing the agriculture policy agenda was to know exactly where we were so that we can strategize and chart the way forward. So we've started with the agriculture statistics, and the good news now, Madam Speaker, USP is coming for the data. The ADB is coming for the data. World Bank is coming for the data. FAO is coming for the data. So I can confidently say that the data that we have now is more reliable than what we used to produce in our annual reports. But those previous data are available, but you know, it's subject to further analysis, I would say, Madam Speaker, the previous data that we have because of the reporting systems. But we can provide those data going back a few years back. But I've stated some reasons behind that, Madam Speaker.
Honourable Paramachari.
Madam Speaker, I would like to ask a question. The Minister mentioned about tractor. I would like to know what is the contribution of the farmer, what is the contribution of the government, and if that comes out duty-free. Duty-free. The government gets it duty-free, or is duty on that? And what is the contribution of the farmer? What is the contribution of the government?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Again, let me assure all farmers in Fiji, if you want to know information about all the programs that I've stated, including the mechanization component where farmers are assisted, is for them to go directly to the Ministry of Agriculture office. But with machines, Madam Speaker, the selection of machines, that's determined by the Major Tenders Board. They award yearly contracts for the supply of machines. With tractors and other machinery that qualifies under the program, the farmer pays 1/3. And for a tractor, I would say now, it's about 20,000, the contribution from the farmer or farmers group. I've just given one to the farmers, Itoke farmers in Sarawanga in December last year. So they contribute about 20,000, Madam Speaker, because depending on the size, the capacity, whether it's 45 horsepower, whether it's a 65, or but ranges from 15,000 to 20,000. It comes with all the full component of implements, the basic ones, disc plow, harrow, and everything. And of course, farmers will be trained by whoever supplies the machines. That's part of the contract by the Major Tenders Board. And the rest of the responsibility vests with the farmers. So government the allocation of the machines is through the major tender board in the Ministry of Finance, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Senator Karawaki.
Madam Speaker, the Honourable Minister mentioned about the land preparation component. Farmers have been waiting for 2 years now, and no information has been coming from the Ministry of Agriculture about the application for land preparation. Can the Honourable Minister just explain to the House whether the Ministry is still committed to this or it has been terminated? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Definitely the Ministry is committed, but unfortunately some of the applications are lost along the system, and we are doing our very best now to improve our service delivery and the processes and systems as well that's in place. I do admit the fact that some applications are lost, and this is something that frustrates our stakeholders, but management is working very hard to improve this. But definitely, it's not too late to resubmit. It's not too late to approach the Ministry for Agriculture again, because I've talked about the production and the needs. We just need a lot of farmers now, so that we can meet the expectations, particularly the demand that we have. So we are committed, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Honorable Wakil Raki.
Supplementary question, Madam Speaker.
Supplementary question.
In terms of qualification for assistance, can the Minister please explain as with regards to the accessibility of assistance to those who don't own registered leases, like you farming on your own Matangali land, whether they qualify also for assistance like the qualification for those who have leases? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Minister.
Yes, Madam Speaker, the difference is the Ministry, this is part of its social responsibility. We are not a lending agency where we require collaterals or security, Madam Speaker. So with the assistance in as far as machinery, not only machinery, Madam Speaker, but in all the assistance that we have, we do not have any demarcation between those that have leases and those that do not, those that are farming on communal land. But what is important in this, Madam Speaker, is their farming record. How well have they been farming? Because when we are committing these big investments, we want to ensure that they also produce the return that we expect. So that is why we are encouraging farmers to be registered, but nothing to do with the land leases, unless you are going under NDP, the Northern Development Program in Vanoleu, or you are seeking assistance from the Fiji Development Bank. But with the Ministry for Agriculture, there is no difference between whether you are a lessee or whether you're just farming on communal land. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Lavia Menalo.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there appears to be a disconnect here. In the Singatoka Valley, there is only one tractor for the subsistence farmers, yet the Minister says there's a lot of tractors around. Can I ask the Minister to try and make the connection between the Ministry and the people? Because in the Singatoka Valley, Madam Speaker, the belief is that Agriculture Department is only interested in the exporters, not in the subsistence farmers. This is the perception that is being created because there's only one tractor, and here we hear there's a lot of tractors around. Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We have increased the machinery in Singatoka, and including a digger as well. The biggest digger that we have in Fiji is in the Singatoka Valley. Madam Speaker, on smallholder farmers, let me assure the honourable member that the farmers of Narata, under the PGS, the Participation Guaranteed System, they are assisted by us. These are smallholder farmers who are not commercial farmers. And even to the extent where the Ministry for Agriculture has allocated the cold storage facility that we have in Nadadolevu for these farmers, Madam Speaker. So that is the assistance that we are. But the advice that we have been giving the farmers, I was with the Tutikinas in Nandrunga, giving out incubators to them last Tuesday, Madam Speaker, and they asked me for machines. And this is the actual complaint that we're getting, that not enough machines, but I'm encouraging them, Madam Speakers, buy your own. Give us a 20,000 or the 50,000 so that you can own your machines, because that's consistent throughout Fiji. Always, particularly in the Western Division, it's more challenging because we also have cane farmers. And cane farmers are also coming to the Ministry of Agriculture, asking for Ministry of Agriculture's machines, Madam Speaker. So we encourage farmers, please, if they have the funds, contribute. But we are doing our very best. Now there are additional machines in all the stations, because what we have done, the machines that were given to us by the Chinese for rice, we are distributing all over Fiji as well, because that machines are both for dry land and wetland operations. So all the machineries in Fiji are accessible. Additionally, particularly for Nandrunga, Nadadolevu, all our research stations, Madam Speaker, we have given them directive. All the machines in the research stations are to be given to the farmers, because previously machines in the research stations are just for research purposes. They don't hire it out to the farmers. But that has changed. We have given directive. In Seganga, if there is a farmer close by who needs tractors, they can get access to that. In Moa, in Taveuni, farmers can access that. In Nadadolevu, they can access that. In Lenga in Nandi, they can access that machine. So machines that are available in the research stations are also available to the farmers, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Nanoa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Rural farm roads are one of the assistance they are normally required in the rural and outlying areas. As for Kandavu, I think you've already started 3 rural farm roads, but they are yet to be completed. The one from Rabitaki to Tawuki, the one at Mokoisa, and the one at Nasengai. Can we be advised as to when these rural farm roads can be completed? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The difficulty in the islands is on the machines that go across. But let me assure the honourable member that government is doing its best to work on the roads. Those roads will be completed, Madam Speaker. Thank you.